Welcome back to the Better Men, Better Ball Player podcast. I'm your host, Trey Cobb, and I want to welcome you either back or welcome you for the first time for joining us here on the podcast, where we look at trying to help out players not only from a physical standpoint, and you'll learn and hear things through how we can help them be better ball players, but more importantly, how to help them become better men through the game of baseball and through the lessons learned by being a part of a team, by being a part of a program, by being a part of something bigger than themselves, which we know that they will be they'll be longer men than they will be ball players. So it's important for us to teach them lessons and to have those things important to us and teach them mentality so we can create an even better person, which in turn will create a better ball player. So today you'll hear from another great coach, the coach who I had the pleasure of playing for at Salisbury University, Ron Siers. Coach Siers has been at Salisbury University for 23 years. He just finished up his 23rd season. He is now the associate head coach at Salisbury University, where he's helped guide the Seagulls to 5 World Series appearances, 13 conference championships, and 19 consecutive NCAA appearances. 19 consecutive NCAA appearances. And, Coach Siers also has a doctorate in organizational leadership. He is part owner of the Ascendant Global Leadership Company, where he, teaches leadership skills to any organization. But Coach Siers just has a huge passion for the game. You hear it through his conversation. You hear it anytime anybody ever talks to him, the huge amount of passion he has for the game, for his players, for leadership, and just for making things around him better, making himself better. Been a mentor to many people on and off the field, and especially mine. He is just an incredible person. I just can't thank him enough for taking some time. We had some technical difficulties through getting this interview done, and trying to record the conversation, which we've recorded many conversations, but of course the one we want to try to put on the podcast, we've had some, but it's all well worth it. There's tons of information here. I hope that you reach out to him if you have any questions for him. If you want to hear anything else, I'm sure he'd be happy to share. He's always willing to share with me, and I know he's been shared with plenty of other people. He'll share his email out in the podcast later if you want to get it, but it is R.R. Siers, Siers, R.R. Siers at salisbury.edu, as well as you can reach out to him on Twitter at R.R. Siers. Again, on Twitter, his handle is at R.R. Siers, Siers. Coach Siers is a just phenomenal teacher, very passionate, always continues to learn. All those qualities that you've heard in the great coaches, he has them, he possesses them. I'm fortunate to have a great relationship with this man, and he really helped my career at Salisbury as well as helped me beyond at Salisbury, becoming the teacher, coach, person I am. And I'm very thankful for that, and I hope that you enjoy this episode. Please just share it. It's something that I'm just hoping that brings value to you. And if you have any questions or feedback for me, just feel free to reach out to me at treytcobb@gmail.com. You can also reach out to me on Twitter as well at Coach3, the letter 3, Cobb, Coach3 Cobb. So again, just want to say thank you to Coach Siers, and I hope you find some value in our conversation where we talk about leadership, we talk about defensive work, we talk about knowing your purpose. So here he is, Coach Ron Siers from Salisbury University. You finished your 23rd year, and now getting ready to start the 24th. So how have this culture either changed, or how have you been able to kind of continue it at Salisbury?
Yeah, those are really insightful kind of reflection I've done on the kind of all these things. Because, like I said, man, I'm just as I get old, the longer I do this, it's like holy mackerel. Then, like yourself, you get people that played for it, you got families of their own, and kids that kind of going through it. And you're like, wait a minute, where did this happen? But I think a couple things here kind of stand out to me, Trey. One would be we've been blessed with so many great quality student athletes like yourself, others who have come through. We have really, really good players in our program, and we've had some consistency in our program from the standpoint of whether it was with Coach Fleetwood for 15 years, now Coach Brohan going on 7, and I've been here for going on 24. I think that is kind of unique that you've been able to keep kind of the core components of that throughout the years. I also think, and I know you're huge on that too, but I'm a big Peter Drucker fan on the culture eats strategy for breakfast. We kind of taken it to, well, I think it eats it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we're really intentional and consistent with our focus on our values and our standards. I mean, they're in our dugouts. They're right in the dugouts. As soon as you walk in, it's the first thing that smacks you in the face. And I think that by being consistent in taking those core values and making sure that our behaviors, both as coaches and as student athletes, are congruent, I think that's enabled and kind of empowered the culture throughout the years. I think we're really also big on continuous improvement. I think it was Muhammad Ali years ago. Somebody asked him at 50, he says, "Man, you're a lot different than what you were at 30." And I think his comment was something to the effect of, "Well, if I haven't grown and improved in 20 years, then obviously there's something wrong with me." So I'd like to think that as a staff and certainly as a coach, I'm much better 32 years into this as I was in year 1. But the only reason that's happened is just, each year trying to continually improve, doing your your after action reviews, having your exit meetings with your student athletes, having those courageous conversations. What can we do to improve? What are we doing that you think is helping you? What are we doing that's you don't think is helping you? I myself personally as a coach, I've tried to get away so much of looking and asking student athletes questions from the feel perspective. I was a big, hey, do you feel that? Do you feel the difference? And sometimes I would get some good feedback from them. Do you feel yourself when you're pushing through that ground? Do you feel that? But now it's kind of more so, okay, if you feel it and you do it, can you teach it to somebody else? So we've been really intentional here about making sure that, you and I talked about the expanding roster next year. So if we have 47, which I think is going to probably be the roster, if we have 47 guys on our roster and we come out there, we're going to have 47 leaders. We're going to have 47 guys right there who are going to be able to really kind of take, I'm a big Patrick Lencioni fan as well, to kind of take his 5 dysfunctions of teams and take the dysfunction and make it a competency. So, one thing, and we, with our freshmen coming in, or even sometimes our transfers, is, the idea of who can they trust, right? Holy mackerel, can I trust that guy? He's been here for 2 years, he's been here for 1, or I'm a freshman, I don't know. So we really try to take time and build and model for them that vulnerability trust. It's okay to say you don't know how to do something. It's okay to say you screwed up. It's okay to go to a teammate and ask them, what, coach is talking about CWIC and DWI, SYWD, and he's throwing these acronyms at me, and my head is swimming for the first 2 weeks here. I have no clue what he's talking about. Can you help me? And so what I think has really been nice here is that we've had, sophomores, juniors, seniors who have been in the program for a while, who teach others and who lead others. So if I'm going to practice number 2 and we're working on our ground ball progressions on the side, and Tom's not doing what we did yesterday, well, I'm not going to get all over Tom and ask him what's wrong. When we're done, I'll go to Tom's accountability partner. So if it's Trey, I'll say, okay, hey, Trey, how much time did you spend with him yesterday post-practice? Were you out here with him pre-practice today? Were you helping him kind of navigate, the fog? Did you lift the fog from him so that he didn't get emotionally intoxicated when we started the drill again, and then he's so much in his head that he can't actually perform like he's performed before. So I think that intentionality there, the vulnerability, trust. I think if you really kind of embrace that, and you're able to do that, I think then that goes from, it's easier to have a passionate dialogue down the road. right? I mean, I don't wake up every day, Trey, thinking, man, I cannot wait to have some conflict today with my student athletes.
Right.
I can't wait to have but if I built the trust with them, right, and we love each other and we care for each other, and we've been vulnerable with each other, then it's okay to have that passionate dialogue. Then it's okay to master that conflict. Then it's okay for me to hold you accountable to the core values and the behaviors that we signed in our covenant on our first meeting in the fall, that you said you were going to do this. So then I think we're able to get more commitment from the student athlete as opposed to compliance. I've been around a lot in 32 years. I think we've been very blessed here that the culture has really, really promulgated an environment of commitment over compliance, and student athletes paying attention to results. And again, trying to control what we can control. All right, I can't always control the outcome of the game, but I can certainly control the variables that go into my practice session. Did I practice today like a national champion? Did I practice today like a regional champion? Did I practice today like a conference champion? Did I practice today like I practiced today like a college athlete, but probably going to get me knocked out in the first round of the NCAA regional?
Sure.
How was my body language today? I know you're huge on that. How was my body language? Body language never whispers, the old saying, right? It always screams. On top of that. So am I holding my teammates accountable? So if during a simulated practice, whatever, and I make an error, what's my positive, negative response to that? It's not my head hanging, it's not my shoulders hanging, it's looking back at a picture. I got you on the next one. We got 2 dead. Here we go. But are our teammates holding us accountable? And I know you've been around the game a long time too. I found that peer leadership, that peer accountability, they're going to expect the old guy, Coach Siers, holding them accountable. But what I found is that if the teammates and their peers hold them more accountable to the core values and the standards, the results that you tend to get at the end, I find, are a lot better than what they would be if it was just the coach that was always the one doing the leading. So I think that's a very long-winded way of saying, I think that we've been very fortunate in what we've been able to do.
Yeah, well, I think I absolutely agree, and I can even speak to my time there. I mean, it was, we were the best when we were able to work with each other, hold each other accountable, 100%. And those are the best teams too. Where I say, look, we're in charge of this, because they really are, and we just need to facilitate. It's the highest level of coaching, is just facilitating. So in terms of that, with the accountability partners, are you truly intentional about, hey, having a conversation like you two are accountability partners?
Yeah, what we've really been able to do here in the past, it was one of the things you had inquired about me. How am I different at year 32 as I was? It's kind of like that old saying, man, I wish we'd go back and tell our first year coach, some guy, hey man, let me tell you, let me give you a little bit of the wisdom here, the old guy. Unfortunately, we don't have a right to do that. But yeah, the idea there of, so for example, if we start our fall practices, and hopefully we're going to get to do that in September, praying for that, and we'll do that. We're really intentional about making sure that our veterans, and a veteran could be somebody's been in a program for 1 year, you're a veteran, that those guys have intentionally invited over to their place, hung out with, gone to lunch with, gone to dinner with, it doesn't matter, made good decisions with, is our hope, right, as college coach, but that you've taken those young guys into the program. And then what I do intentionally, and this is what I could go back and tell my 23-year-old self back in 1989, is that I make sure that in my conversations each day that I have, so I try to, I'm a big Excel spreadsheet guy. And in my Excel spreadsheets, I will keep on there, specifically, I'll try to pick 4 guys per practice that I'm intentional about having more of a conversation than just skill progression, what we're doing, our team focus, our thematic goals. So then I'll ask them, I'll say, hey, which of the veterans, have you hung out with this week? Who's invited you over to their house? Who'd you have lunch with this week? And then if we find, now again, is it 100%? Now, if I get somebody come in and say, well, coach, I haven't had a chance to, well, did they invite you? Now, as long as our veterans are inviting them, like, well, coach, man, they invited me over for dinner, but I had a bio lab. or coach, if they invited me over for breakfast this morning, but I'm the early lifting guy because I've got an 8 o'clock class. Okay, we're on the same page. We'll adjust. If it becomes well, I haven't really had a conversation yet with anyone, then we'll go to our veterans and then we'll have that conversation with them individually and then as a group. Why did that happen? We got a lot of guys. I wish we had I've told this Coach Brohan forever. I wish we had a Division I budget, so that I could really do some Myers-Briggs and some disc profiling of our student athletes to really then be even more intentional and kind of match them up even a little bit more systematically and empirically. But based on our D3 budgets, we will go with the idea there of being intentional with our veteran guys. And man, one of the most fulfilling things that I've gotten out of this, or I get, is when we get to the end of the season and you talk to the fresh, you do your exit interviews with everybody. The old saying is your seniors, or at least some coaches think that the seniors are totally 100% honest with you at the end because they know the career's over. They're kind of done. I think there's some truth in that. I think there is, that they may say some things, but I think also there's some wisdom that they've gleaned over the years. But to hear the freshman or the junior collar or a transfer, the D1 guy that transfers into us, and we get a lot of D1, D2 transfers coming back, when they tell us, man, coach, I was really thankful for Justin or for Trey or for John, man, they really helped me out. They really loved me up. The old cliche, every coach in America will talk about having a family atmosphere. We all do. We all want it to be. But to me, the proof is always in the pudding of, is it actually happening in the program? And is it coming from the people that are actually having it happen to them? So to me, that's one of the most fulfilling things I get out of coaching is when those young guys come in and say, Coach, man, Tom, I was with them. They really loved me up. They really helped me. Then you know that accountability system itself is working. And then same thing, we'll ask the veteran guys, hey, what's going on with John? Coach, he's a little bit introverted. Okay, I understand that. And I know so was Tim and so was Tom, so were those guys. So you got to kind of find a different way to love them up. If he's not a big guy there and doesn't want to come over for dinner because there's going to be 15 other people there.
Right.
It's not that he doesn't love it about you, man. That's just not the way you get in with him. So what you need to do with him is, invite him to breakfast. We've got a lot of our guys that kind of do. It was the old Chicago Bulls, I think, kind of started the Michael Jordan Breakfast Club crew, where he had his nice, 40,000 square foot home where he can invite them all over there. But to where we got a lot of guys that will get up early and get in additional workouts, whether it's in the cage, whether it's coming out in the field. That I said, hey man, that's a great opportunity here. Invite him to the breakfast club, and invite him one-on-one in that. Don't bring him in with 3 or 4 other guys. He's in it, but bring him in one, and then you'll develop that relationship with him. He'll understand that you love him and care for him there, and then he might then say, okay, I'll get comfortable being uncomfortable. I'll go to that dinner gathering, or okay, you guys are going to watch a game, and okay, I'll come on and watch a game tonight on top of this. So it's kind of like it's an evolving thing, but yeah, if I could go back and tell my 23-year-old self at the beginning of that, it was absolutely make sure you're intentional about that, partnering them up, and we talk a lot about here, Trey, don't commit a suicide. That, hey, man, you're on the SU team. Oh, they're going to take care. They're going to love, man, they're 18, 19 years old, and, the prefrontal cortex is not fully developed till 25. So if I'm not thinking long-term on that, sometimes it's just difficult to realize, holy mackerel, what am I doing after practice? So, I think being intentional about it and hooking them up has really, really kind of, solidified that family and that love for each other. And I know you've talked about it too. I know John Wooden did this study back in the 60s. Love for somebody to be able to do it at our university, come to our practices and find out how many times do we tell each other we love each other? How many times now again, I don't know what's going to be in the COVID-19 of the hugs and the bro hugs and all that, because I'm a big hug, so I don't know how that's going to do air hugs or air high fives. But I think that you'd find that it's a lot. It really is. And I get that from we have our athletic coaching students that will come out to our practices, and they'll note that kind of in their reflection. So it has to be more than just a word. And it's
Sure.
got to be more than just, hey, I'll talk to it about recruiting. No, talk to the people that have played here, talk to the alumni, talk to people that are in the program now, talk to the veterans, go to them, go right away. What can I expect? And then I think the old saying is you got to do it twice as much as you say it. And we talk about DWYSYWD, do what you say you will do. So there's 2 do's, 1 say. So it's pretty simple. Okay, you said you were going to be with him at the Breakfast Club at 7:15. Were you? It's pretty simple. And you've also got to be open, I found as a coach, to feedback from your student athletes. I'm much more intentional about the feedback from my student athletes now. So opposed to Trey waiting until an exit interview,
Okay.
or waiting until, Lord, a kid struggles. Well, then they're all ears, right?
Right.
Getting to them early. And I've been really focused on, as the season kind of progresses, what I've noticed here at SU, we've been blessed 19 straight regional tournaments, man. Every year you got a chance to win a national title here. I'm thankful and so thankful for that on a daily basis. But I also know that for the young guy coming in, or that puts a lot of pressure on some kids.
Mm-hmm.
The kid that come in and say, Coach, man, I don't want to be the first group that doesn't go to a regional. I don't want to be, okay, well, we can't control that part of it. But after week 1 or week 2 or week 3, as the season kind of goes on, and as the games, I don't want to say get more important, because we just focus on one at a time, but from the 18, 19-year-olds perspective of, whoa, this is a big conference game. Whoa, man, this kind of gets us into seeding. I'm really focused on going to the student athlete and saying, hey, here's what I have for you this tomorrow, the next 2 days. Here's what I would like to work on that I think is going to help us mentally, physically, psychosocially. What do you think? Now, the veteran guys are usually pretty good because they know it's coming. They'll, Coach, man, I'm good. Some are like, Coach, whatever you got, I'm in. I'm locked in with that. Let's go with that. Others will say, man, Coach, I'd like to spend a little bit more time. I'd like to spend a little bit more time, maybe, maybe on balls that are deep in the hole for me, with a scissor leg as opposed to a right leg, maybe something specific they don't feel we're getting enough of. Or I'd like during my BP round, really focusing on a quick release more. Could I do a double quick as opposed to doing a double shuffle on one round? Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We'll do it. And then the freshmen, typically they will come in. They're like, what?
They're good.
What are you asking me? I don't know, Coach. So I've really changed that way of really trying to get feedback from them, because to me now it's more important what they think and is what is in their head, as opposed to what the old guy here thinks that will work. I'm not the one out there when they say play ball.
Yeah.
And I want them to feel that.
And are you trying to, when do you find time to do those things? Just all throughout the practice, or do you have specific times?
Yeah, well, what I would do is I will give now again, here's another thing that's going to change with the COVID world. What would you do now differently from that? So in the past, we go at the end of practice, and I'm still in many things a hard copy guy. So I would just hand out a hard copy. You tell me what you would like to do during, our BP sides, our live group BP. BP sides to me has been one of the greatest inventions ever in the history of baseball for a defensive coordinator. I salivate on it every single day. When our kids typically come in, I ask them, I said, did you do many BP sides in your practices in high school? What? Yeah, we did BP every day. No. BP sides, meaning when you're rotating through, did you have a defensive side for 12 to 15 minutes on the side with the defensive coordinator position coach where you were working on specific skills? Now, as an ex-high school guy too, I know, sometimes I had the coach who was the geography teacher, he was a great teacher, man. He was a stud teacher, but I didn't feel comfortable with him doing a BP sides for the first week of practice.
Right.
I didn't know what he was going to do. So I'll ask him, hey, when you're coming over to me, here's what I've got. And sometimes, they'll write on there, Coach, when I'm coming to you, I would rather do more of our early knee progression work than I would our full prone posture work. Or I'll get guys who are really big into posture now. I'd really like to work some more posture drills, man. I feel good not only when we do them, but then when I'm out there in a game or whatever, I'm not thinking anymore. My body is just kind of reacting in that position. So they'll fill it out at the end of practice. I take it, go back. I usually I know you would ask a question there about practice preparation. I'm blessed now because I'm at the college. So obviously the college, I have more time to prepare lessons than I did when I was a high school guy. So in between my classes, I'll spend usually an hour to two on my lesson preps for practice. And I will take that data that they had before, make my changes individually.
So we were just talking about like BP sides, man, and I love that because we had never that's something how you've grown and that's how you've gotten better, and I love that, man. So what when you get into BP side, is it strictly just specific skills that each individual needs, or you kind of group them based on what they need?
Yeah, we'll start out usually kind of foundational work. So if and again, we're fortunate. Number one, we're fortunate with our beautiful new facility, which literally any piece of the field you can use. But the side, so once BP is set up, what I will do the day before, again on my spreadsheet there. So if let's say yesterday I worked with our first baseman, usually start out position wise. So I'll go first, third, middle guys, outfielders, catchers. Now we also will do it opposite of pre-work. So pre-practice work, if I work with the catchers pre-practice, and obviously they're not coming to me in BP sides, it will typically be then our first baseman. So when we put our foundational stuff in, our footwork, our posture, that'll kind of be a collective together. And then once that's established after the first 2 weeks, then it becomes very partner specific. So then I will have usually in groups of four, some of our BP groups of four, I could have two with me. We're also blessed to have graduate assistants, which is wonderful. So I get the opportunity to utilize them. So I could do something specific with a group of two. Our GA, Jay Perry was our GA. Jay Perry helped us last year. Austin Hina is going to come back and be our GA this year, could then do two other drills. And then I could do it individually based on what they need. You and I talked about the Hack Attack Love Fest that I have. We are fortunate in what we have. We obviously, I would love to have more, but it's nice to have all of that stuff in our administrative responsibility. So all that stuff is already sequenced and already set up. So our bow nets are set up, our rookie machines are set up, the Hack Attack is set up, the poly spots, the turtle shells, all of that is already set up in the BP side area when we go to BP. So one thing that's enabled me to do is so that as the coach, I'm able to do more coaching as opposed to, holy mackerel, now I got to make sure this is set up, that's there, and then you're losing time as we start. So in the feedback I've gotten from the student athletes, when we do our interview and asking them, hey, do you find that the BP sides, is it enhancing your game? And to a man, coach, absolutely. I love this. This is great. This gives me every single day a 12 to 15 minute specific intentional focus on skills that then I can then take out onto the field. Now we'll chart those two. I know we're, everybody, what's the old saying? What gets measured tends to get reinforced. Yeah. So we're charting, our drills and skills on the side. How many drops did we have? How many poor exchanges did we have? How many successful completions did we make? Same thing that we do on the field. And then all that stuff I get to aggregate every day and then put it on our Excel board the next day so we can see what our fielding percentages were, what our range was, how many web gems did we have for that day, right? Yeah. How many times did we got that? All that cool stuff, which again, from me, going back and telling my 23-year-old self, I wish as a younger coach, I would have done more charting and more aggregation and disaggregation of things that the student athlete had control over. Because what I have found is that when you're making decisions on, Coach Brohan obviously going to put the lineup together, but he'll always come to me, okay, defensively, who do you like here? Who do you like here? Who do you like here? It makes it a lot less subjective. It's every day. Here's our standard for our range. You got to be above 1,000. Here's our standard for our fielding percentage. You need to be above a 980. So there's no subjectivity in that. Yeah. On top of, here's what you have. Well, then you probably need to spend a little bit more time in our pre-work. You need to spend a little bit more time maybe post-work if you have class and you can't get out here. Or when we come over to our BP sides that I'm seeing over there, I'm seeing that you're really, really struggling with your bare hand slow rollers. So maybe we need to spend a little more time on that when you come to me. And what I found by doing that, Trey, is that by charting all that stuff, the student athlete is really tuned in to what he needs to improve upon each day for his own individual goals, as opposed to the old guy, Coach Siers, again saying, "Okay, we're gonna do this and this." But man, I really think BP sides have really kind of taken us to another level defensively. We've always put priority on pitching and defense. Obviously, we want hitters. I'm not saying we don't got to score runs,
Right.
but typically, what I have found is the farther that you go in the season, the farther that you're blessed to advance. You're going to face everybody's got a good one, everybody's got a good two, everybody's got a decent bullpen, and runs are going to come few and far between. So you better play good defense, and you better be able to shut down their running game to give yourself an opportunity in that latter third of the game to be successful. So
Sure.
I wish I would have had BP sides earlier.
Yeah, no, they're great.
But man, I absolutely.
So
love them.
you're basically running those off to when you're saying 12 to 15 minutes, probably a group to finish hitting, and then we just.
That is correct. Yeah, so that group will come to me. So the group that's in the K, after they've done our cage work, our pre-work, our prep work, our live work, they will do live hitting. They come to me for their BP sides, and then they will rotate out onto the field. We do 2 defensive rounds because we have 5 hitting groups. So they get 2 defensive rounds out on the field. So all that's charted. So let's say, for example, if, today, and I have to coordinate this with our hitting coach. So whatever rounds he is doing, I'll make sure that whatever we're doing defensively makes sense. So if he's working on a power ground ball round, we're doing power ground balls to the infield. Obviously, we play on turf, so that's an advantage for us. Okay, great. Well, then I'm going to make sure that we're going to work on infield on that particular rotation. If he's working on, driving the ball to the middle of the field, that's going to be my round. We're going to work on BP double play feeds and pivots. But then that also can help me on the BP sides of the prep work I can do to get them ready to go for the field. Got real good feedback on the kids from that too. They like that. They said it's kind of, I'm kind of, forming up to warm up, getting to do it. Then I get to do it live twice, which is great, back to back, as opposed to it's kind of just, idiosyncratic. I don't want to be a cage guy. Then I go 1 on defense. Now I'm 1 in a cage. And it kind of takes a little bit of the fluidity out of it. But yeah, I wish I would have done the BP sides a lot earlier in my career.
Yeah, for sure. And when you go to post, you said you post them, I guess, at the locker room.
Yeah.
Well,
what we'll do is, so what we'll do now is, again, with the beauty of technology, in our group me, I can post everything in there, and then you come into our dugouts, which we actually have nice dugouts now, right?
Yeah, they're monsters too.
Yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous. So as we come into our dugouts here on our whiteboards on the side, all that will be posted. So everything that we did yesterday defensively, everything we did yesterday offensively, everything we did in our pens, all the position coaches have disaggregated that, put it up there on the sheet so everybody sees it. As soon as they come in, we'll color code things, real simple stuff. So if it's, your fielding percentage, if you're above 980, you'll get a blue, you're above standard. If you're at standard, you're green. And if you're below, you're in the yellow. So it's pretty self-explanatory there that if I'm looking up there and we've had 2 weeks of practice, never would this be a question to you, but if I'd have a question to like Tom and say, Tom, I'm looking up there, man, I don't see one ball off your chest and I don't see one dive. Now, again, I know I'm getting old and I'm doing BP side. So sometimes during the live, I'm not saying that. Tell me why that's happening. How is that possible? Now, could it be possible that we're doing a lot of oppo work and you're on the other side of the field? That could be. There could be a legitimate reason. Well, Coach, man, we're doing oppo the other day. And okay, well, then I'll make an adjustment. Hey, when we're doing oppo, right, and we got a lefty group up there and we're banging oppo, I don't need you at second base. We're going to throw you over the 6 hole, right by 6 hole, and you're going to get to work on that. Or they don't know that, I'm supposed to go max effort on every ball that's put. Yeah, so that the goal there would be, so then when we get in a game and you do it, it's, well, all right, I'm going to clap my you up. Great job. But I mean, I'll know you're going to do it because I've seen you do it, thousands of times in practice. The simple things that I think the charting, again, takes the subjectivity out of it. It's all for everybody to see. And what I've found is most of student athletes, they don't want to be yellow. They don't want to be green. They don't want to be outstanding. They want to be blue.
Yep.
On top of that. So we do that, and then we'll do the same thing with our gear. Kids get gear in the fall. So you got to earn the gear, right? So in order to earn the gear defensively, you've got to be above all those metrics. So when we end fall practice, if you're not above it, well, you got to do it on your own. You got to do it on your own, get enough reps in so that you get above that, so that you can earn the gear. We've had some really cool trucker hats, I call them. They're kind of the big brim top, just with a maroon, nothing on it. They look like the old T-ball hats I wore. And then we'll have just a blank old maroon shirt, yellow shirt, white shirt, and your white pants. That's what you wear to practice every day in the fall until you earn the lid, the shirts, and then you can wear those.
That's cool. Yeah, that's super cool. So like, and are you, I guess, is it broken down into even like two hand, forehand, backhand pick, backhand
Oh,
rake?
absolutely. And one thing that I've also changed, I love it. I love my laminator. I don't know if you have a laminator that you use at your practice, but I bought me a laminator about 4 years ago. Actually, a couple of the professors in the department, they had it, and I was like, man, is that thing expensive? They're like, no, man, it's only like 40, $50 get you that. So what about the paper?
Mm-hmm.
No, not that bad. So I bought me a laminator, put it on my desk, and then what I'll do is I'm typing up my plans, and I'm typing up all my progressions for that, whatever it may be, whether it's a star drill, whether it's a square drill, whether it is forehand, backhands, whether it's our progression on our knees or Ozzie Smith, whatever the drill is on that, our posture drills, I've got them all laminated. So they're all laminated on top of that. I will then make a copy of that. I send it to all of our infielders prior to practice so they can kind of prepare for it, and then we post it in our dugout. So what I found from that is that also saves time. That saves 2 or 3 minutes as opposed to maybe explaining again what we're doing today. My coach, I already know it. I've already seen it. We'll videotape it on the side too. I mean, it's so nice now with daggone, iPhones and iPads. We've got so many gadgets and devices we can use. Can tape it, film it, send it out to them. Easy for them to review at the end of practice. And then I keep all those laminated sheets with me. One hole, punch it up on the top, and just clip it right on the side of my pants. So you get those little those magnetic strips that come on. I got it hanging right there. I look like I'm the offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns. But the nice thing about that is too, I found out that by clipping that on, what I found, I used to be, again, going back to what I used to be a big clipboard guy. Saw myself on the clipboard, have it there, and I'd take some. What I found is, man, that clipboard can get cumbersome. If I'm feeding the machine or I'm trying to demo something or I'm trying to actually, hands-on help somebody, that clipboard becomes a pain. And then I found that I'd leave it over here and then I'm wasting 15 seconds to go get it. So I said, I'm changing this. Boom, go to the laminator, clip that bad boy on. It goes with me everywhere. I never lose it. And it allows me the freedom of movement to be able to coach. That's why I love the rookies and the hack attacks. Our goal, hopefully next year, we're going to have a fungo man, at least one of them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that again, it just allows you to coach more.
Yeah, it does.
You actually get out there with the student athlete, and that's the part I enjoy the most is teaching and coaching. So, I found that laminator really allows me to do that, to have those things really prescriptive.
Yeah, well, so you talked about how you've changed, even from the simple thing of the laminator, and we've talked about other things that you have changed. What is something that in the 23 years, and I know you've talked more like what's something that's kind of stood the test of time, man? What are you saying like this hasn't changed?
Man, that's attention to detail.
Yes.
Small things always matter. We will be fundamentally sound. We absolutely will be fundamentally sound. We will teach pedagogically with sound methodologies and techniques that are based on data. And I know I'm preaching to the crowd, to the choir. That will be based on teaching pedagogy, and that has stood the test of time. We're going to be continuous learners. That's I always I'm going to bring something. That's another thing that I found too is each day that we're doing our progressions, each day we're doing our BP sides, it is going to change. The focus isn't going to change the skill, but we're going to change the way that we do it. And what I found on that is that, man, the focus level and the intensity level really ratchets up, because the more particular methodologies I can have for dealing with a backhand ground ball, the better focus I get from the student athlete. And sometimes I've learned too is that sometimes the student athlete maybe gets it better by doing it in the way we did in drill number 3 than maybe they did on drill number 1.
Now, are you talking in terms of like a cue, or are you talking in terms of like off of a fungo, or like
More so
what do
on
you?
changing the specific way. So if it's me, like for a simple thing, if we're doing our posture drills,
Yeah,
maybe yesterday on the posture drills, I was just rolling you the ball.
yeah,
Well, maybe today I'm hitting it to you off a tennis racket. And maybe today I'm doing a short bat fungo. And now maybe today I'm doing it on the rookie machine.
okay,
Or maybe today we're doing our knees. So just kind of flipping that up. That's been having a daily lesson plan. I'm a lesson plan fanatic. I don't know if I am weird, but I love making a lesson plan for practice. I love it even more now when I get to Coach Brohan kids me all the time about my lamination. He's got his. I love it. I think again, if you're prepared, you're gonna be better. Also, continuously being a lifelong reader. I do believe all great leaders are great readers. This quarantine, man, holy mackerel! I've read 23 books. I'm on number 24 now since March
wow,
the 10th. I try to read a book a week as my goal during the year.
wow,
And I try to take what I'm learning there, not only sharing it with the student athletes, trying to get Coach Brohan to at least get one book every 6 months. It's getting better. We're getting him there. But also to tell the student athletes, hey, I read this. Here's how it's kind of impacted my own life. And here's what I'm trying to do differently now.
yeah,
And not forcing it on them. We have done some book clubs before. I love those.
yeah, that's
Um, and I think another last consistent thing I would say, Trey, I've done is I really tried to outcite, meaning I always try to go to at least 4 practices of other sports that have nothing to do with baseball every single year in the fall. So to give you an example, last fall, I went to women's field hockey practice. I went to a men's soccer practice. I went to a volleyball practice, and I went to a men's football practice. Now, I love football. I'm an old football guy, so I usually go to a lot of football practices. I love football. But what I do is I'll go to that whole practice. Coach Brohan says I'm the nerd guy up there with my laptop.
yeah,
And I'll sit there, and I'm just watching, and I'm typing, and I'm videoing to see, hey, is there something they're doing there that, man, we could bring back and make baseball a little bit better? I love the way that football does periods, 5 minutes, 5-minute
yeah,
periods, 5-minute blocks, and putting clocks up. So we went and we have this massive, again, Coach Brown gives this massive stopwatch that we now have out on the field. Because I've seen it's always the 5-minute, and they're popping it. So that's out there for each of the drills, for each of the 3-minute, 4-minute increments. Or if we're timing guys getting out of the box, last rep and BP down the line. If we're timing our redirects from the time the ball hits the outfield grass to the time that it gets redirected from the outfielder, we have a 5-second redirect rule that's up there for them. So all this, I'm thinking, all this stuff I'm getting from football, right? Or you go to a field hockey practice and how they'll do their skill progressions. It's a little bit different than how we do ours. I'm like, man, I could take that back. That's unique. So what I've tried to do there over here is just continue to learn, man.
yeah,
And even go at the, to me, and I may be biased in this, I think some of the greatest coaches in all the sports are our high school coaches, our high school and youth sports, our Legion coach, because what I found those is they've got to be more than just one thing. I'm blessed. I can come to practice and Coach Siers, the defensive coordinator. Okay,
yeah,
great, man. I'm rolling with that. I'm not the hitting coach today. I'm not the pitching coach today.
right.
Whereas those hiking, man, you're kind of everything. And I think
Put
that
all the
by doing
hats.
that, yeah, you kind of see how they can overlap some things and really put them together. So I would say that those things, Trey, I've really tried to be consistent with over the years to make sure that's going to be our focus. And that's really an important part when we recruit kids. We tell them that, share with them our core values. Here's our standards. Here's how we do it. And hey, you may look at that and it's okay. And you may say, man, that's not for me. That's okay. But
Okay.
I want you to have it. I want you to tell me that now, not a year into it or 2 years into it or a half year into it. You and I have talked about, we serve breakfast to the homeless
Mm-hmm.
pre-COVID here, right? Every Friday morning from 6:30 to 8:30. There's a Hope and Life outreach shelter here in Salisbury. We have a big homeless problem here. So we go in and man, we we buy it. We buy the 30 pounds of potatoes. We cook them, chop them, dice them with the peppers, with the onions. We cook the potatoes. We cook the eggs. We do the bread. We do the coffee. Serve it. Clean it up. Serve the participants that are there. Clean that whole thing up till 8:30, and then we come in the next Friday. So we do squads. We have 8 teams of 6 to 7 guys.
Okay.
And each Friday we rotate. I'm there every Friday. I'm there. I think service is a big component of what we do, giving back, helping others. I know a lot of people talk about Gen Zers and millennials and people feel entitled. And I kind of think back to my growing up, the kids I played. I had some kids that were entitled when I was a young kid.
Sure.
I had some people that had some. So I mean, but I really have found that by doing this service component, man, it just brought such a change to our mentality of our student athletes for being appreciative, not only of what, like you talked about earlier, about, man, you get to go to practice today.
Yeah.
No, I don't have to. I get to, man. I get to go to practice today. I get an opportunity to have BP today. I get an opportunity to get better. I get an opportunity, holy mackerel. Or I've even had kids in pressure moments in games, if I'm coaching third and you can just kind of see the tension in their body. And, we'll go down and talk to them. I'm looking at them and you can just see the breathing is just heavy, right? So we're trying to get our focus back in, control what we can. And my cue has always been to them is, hey man, we're not at Halo. And even I'll have kids will come down and tell me that, like, Coach, taking a deep breath right now. It's made me more relaxed in pressure situation because I don't have any pressure.
Yeah.
So what I gotta, there's 2 outs and there's runners like they're down 1 to 9. Man, that ain't pressure, Coach. Pressure's those little kids getting on that bus to go to school that I just fed. Pressure's on that family there that has nowhere else to live. So we're really intentional about doing that too. And like I said, with recruiting, so that if you're a kid coming in and you're like, whoa,
yeah,
wait a minute, 6:30 on the morning Friday, I got to get up and do what? So then this place is probably not going to be for you. But we're real big on servant leadership. Our player of the game, you talk about traditions here. We have a theme each year. This year, our theme was, you want to be a rock more than you want to be a jelly bean or a marshmallow.
Sure.
So that particular rock mentally, physically during the game, at the end of the game, the kids will say, okay, who's our rock? We got a little maroon and gold rock. They sign it, right? We put it on there. We'll go out there. We'll tweet them out and love them up as we go through. But what I've found is that by doing all of that servant leadership is that whoever is the rock guy or guys, right, whoever that person was, they get the privilege of sweeping out and cleaning out the dugouts at the end. It's not that they don't get the privilege of not doing anything. No. You were the rock today. You are the servant leader. Now, as that servant leader, you're going to show us how it's done, and you will clean the dugouts and make sure they are absolutely spick and span. And that particular, again, going back to what I mentioned earlier about really, doing what you say you're going to do. Easy to just mention servant. No, we're doing it. We've had football teams now that are coming. It's been so awesome.
That is
football teams, soccer teams, basketball teams, FCA groups. It's kind of like just started out as this little group of baseball to now we've expanded from Friday to now we've gone from Friday to Wednesday, Friday to Wednesday to Monday. And my goal is they serve 21 meals there. We've got 21 intercollegiate athletic teams here. I'd love to have one team take one meal each of the year and really give back to the community.
That's incredible. And you only do that during the spring, or is that all year?
We do it all year. Yeah, but we do it all year. We do it in the fall and we do it in the spring.
Okay.
Absolutely. And so each person, I'll do in our group, I have all of our squads picked out, and in the group me, I'll have it on there. We'll say, okay, hey, Trey, you're bringing 10 pounds of potatoes. Or John, you're bringing 24 eggs. Or Tim, you're bringing peppers. So it doesn't become a financial impediment because you're just rotating it through a couple times. I'm there every Friday. Yeah. But you yourself are coming 2 and 3 times a semester, so you kind of know that going in. Okay, I'm going to need $5 for this, for that one, $5 for this, $5 for that. If there ever is an issue where we have a student athlete, it's really say, Coach, I don't have the $5. They come to me. I'll help out. We'll take care of them on that. That has not been that hadn't been an issue at all. And then we've had other teammates that'll kind of pick other teammates out. And it's been so cool, Trey, where somebody will come to me and say, Coach, I got an 8:00 class, or I got an 8:00 lab next Friday. And our rule of that is, okay, that's great. You'll be there to 6:30 to when you think you have to go to prepare. You know that, I don't. But then also you got to secure a teammate who's going to come in and take your spot from 7:30 to 8:30. And what we tend to find, what I found is, it's not one guy that says, it's like I get 3 and 4 guys. Coach, I got him. I'm there. I got him. I'm in. We got alumni that come back in. Oh, it's been so cool. Of all the things I've done in 30 something years of coaching baseball, I'd put that one up there in the top 3. Just being thankful and grateful and appreciative for what you have makes it a little bit easier when you think that you're stressed out because you got to finish that 10-page paper.
Sure.
Or you got to go to the biology lab tomorrow.
Yeah. Or like you said, the pressure at the end of the game, you're just still much better different perspective. So.
Absolutely. Kids have told me it's easier to concentrate on their pleasure more than the pressure just by consistently being that servant leader.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, that's a great. So like, I just started thinking about, as you're doing these things, you're teaching a lot of lessons, and even to help speed the learning curve up. And I'm sure everybody talks about the classroom setting now. With you being on campus now too, I'm wondering, have you gotten into the classroom at all?
Oh man, now you're gonna make me salivate now. Yes, that's the next goal after we get the Fungo Man.
Okay.
Then we're going to get the clubhouse. We got the clubhouse, the Fungo Man, and the classroom. Now, we're very blessed. Right across from our facility, when they built they had the stadium that was built there 8 years ago, there is a classroom in that stadium that I get to use, which is wonderful. Now, I try to also balance it, Trey. What is the right balance with the classroom? Is a classroom every day that you have before practice? Is it something you do maybe a couple times a week? Is it you only want to do it with a specific group each time? We've done them all. We've done them all. Coach Brohan is not what I would call the most vociferous of speakers. He's a very quiet guy. And so his kind of thing, well, because if we're doing the classroom, do you want the whole team up there? Do you just want the position guys up there? Do you want the pitchers up there? So what we've done is we've kind of spread it out and rotated it. Okay. So sometimes we'll have team sessions. Everybody's there. The whole team is there because we're talking about a cultural norm.
Right.
Or somebody in the team has either, holy mackerel, has done something above and beyond the norm, or as in life, right? Logical consequences are the best reinforcers in life, I have found. So maybe somebody's violated a cultural norm, or maybe as a group we did. Maybe we just didn't do something that we should have done. Maybe we didn't clean up the weight room. Maybe we didn't clean our plates in the weight room on Tuesday, and that goes against being a good teammate, being the teammate. So we'll talk about those. Then other times we'll have classrooms before practice if we're going to put in a new schematic. Really have tried to truncate our first and thirds and bunt D's down to those, and we'll chart those all throughout the year of, okay, how many times did we use this? How many times did we use, okay. And the ones that we're using the most, obviously put more practice time in it. Yeah. Kind of like the same of, am I going to get more ground balls to my left, to my right, in the slot backhand, and then practicing accordingly. So then maybe it's going up there and doing that with a specific position group. Maybe it's Coach Brohan. Hey, he's just going up there dealing with the pitchers. Okay, we're dealing with our body language. During our inter squad the other day, thought 3 guys came off and had really poor body language coming off the mound in between innings. And not only did that ripple effect throughout the rest of the staff, but also did the team. So maybe he's dealing with that. I love going in the classroom. I think that's where some of the best learning occurs. And here's what I have found is that when you're in the classroom, I think there's kind of an inherent positioning of, okay, I'm in the classroom now. All right, you are going to take copious notes. Yeah, you are going to take copious notes. Yes, you are going to have your notebook. Oh, absolutely you are. No doubt about it. Yes, we are going to be attentive and engaged on top of this. So hopefully in that, not only I've seen it improve us what we do on the field, and again, I'll go back to my 23-year-old self. Well, for crying out loud, Ron, why didn't you talk about it, show it, which we can do now visually, right? So here's what we're getting ready to do. All right. I've heard it. I've written it down. Okay, I've seen it. Great. Now I'm going to go out and do it. And what I find is there's a lot less confusion and there's a lot less feeling of inferiority for the young guy who he feels like, well, we didn't use that terminology. We didn't use that cue. Oh, coach, that's not the way. Okay, now I've seen, I've done it. they tend to perform better, which I'm a big believer in. Confidence comes two ways, right? Skill acquisition. I think the classroom helps with skill acquisition. So if I put in my 10,000 hours and my 10,000 reps, okay, that's great. But then I also have to then have my demonstrated performance. And so what I have found by showing it and doing it in the classroom, it augments skill acquisition. And then I see the demonstrated performance in the games or in the inner squads come a little bit sooner than what they did before. Where I would say, well, why is he not? He's not paying attention. How can he not? Well, no, Ron, look at you. You didn't explain it well. You didn't give him a visual and front load that for him before they started it. That's not his fault. That's Coach Siers' fault, right? I'm the one that's been doing it, not them. So therefore, I think the classroom is really. I love the classroom, but I think it's really put a more focus on the coaches. Hey, are we doing everything we need to do prior to putting them out there in the arena to do it, as opposed to just going right to the arena and then we do it and then I screw it up 3 and 4 times. And maybe I'm that introvert kid that, man, I haven't screwed up too much because I was the 3-hitter. I was the man. I was the all-state guy. I was a stud. I was getting offered 25% by 5 different places. Holy mackerel. What? Now I'm screwing up this year? So rather than have it set them back, I try to expedite the learning curve, if you will, so that we can get more to where we need to be a little bit quicker. And I think the classroom does that, man. You can use the dugout. I mean, heck, when Coach Fleet was coach, we used to use the dugout sometimes as the classroom. But I think it is. I think it's huge. I love it. If I was the head coach, not the associate coach, would we have more in class? I would probably be in there more. And I've also tried to make sure that when we do it, that we really make sure it's
purposeful.
It's to the point. Yeah, purposeful to the point. And it's for a specific amount of time.
Yeah, for sure. And I think with all your guys' rules too, and how much time you're allowed to, it would allow people like not so much. Your time is valuable when you get out there, and so you would hit the ground running. So that classroom will just kind of help you just move.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And especially so in the fall, we'll get 16 practices, right? Well, now, if you don't get 16, you may say that's a lot, but it's not a ton. It's not, so again, you're exactly right. It really makes the practice more efficient and effective. That's one thing that we really try hard here is make sure that practice, by the time we start timing, it was efficient, it was effective, man, and we didn't waste anybody's time searching for something, looking for something, pulling something, because kids have classes.
Yeah.
They have they gotta go eat. They gotta do home. I mean, everybody has other things in. So I think it's showing respect to the student athlete that if you're asking them to be prompt, on time, focused, honed in, then you better darn well be as the coach.
Sure. No, you almost get to kind of rehearse the practice before it even happens too in your mind. Everything happens twice.
Man, we build those mental maps a lot. Getting the feedback from the kids about the class. Hey, did you have this where you came from? Did you guys do this a lot? Did you see it a lot? Some do, most do not. And most of it I find is not because the coaches didn't want to do it. They didn't have the facilities, the time, the equipment, or the capacity on the staff.
Sure.
One guy had it and he's getting the chemistry teacher and the geography teacher, and this guy couldn't be here because he was working a job. And okay, Coach Jones isn't going to be here today. You're really blessed at the college level to just have more, not only better facilities for the most part, but just more capacity with human resources.
And the consistency of that, like you said, guys not being able to be there. Certain guys that can only be there on Mondays or Wednesdays,
And man, I'll go back to that thing you asked at the beginning about one thing about the consistency. That's what we've been very blessed with. We've always had a core group of at least 3, usually 5 guys who, man, they're going to be there practice. Going to be they're there.
Yeah, and like you said, you have to bounce those ideas off the hitting coach, and then that just serves for like more purposeful reps. That we're getting. Like I know,
absolutely,
and how
no doubt about it.
Yeah, and so that's pretty important.
Yeah, one of the worst things I always tell our young coach, I said, if a kid ever comes up to you and he says, "What are we doing now?" Look yourself in the mirror, not at him. So what either has happened is you haven't posted it, you haven't prepped him for it, You haven't front loaded it on top of that. And now you're going to have to waste time explaining it again because you didn't do all that at the front part. That's one thing we try to our practice is nobody's asking what we're doing, no. We've seen it, we've done it, it's posted, it's there, you've got it in front of you, and you've always got, as you mentioned, you've got your commitment partner there with you that's going to help you through. I also found that too, one thing I didn't thought to add in that commitment partner thing is, man, the more that you coach, it's kind of like teaching too, right? The more you teach something, the more you coach something, the better you become. So it's really fascinating to watch our guys as they mature. Just listen to them and the language they use and the demonstrations they show and the cues that they talk about. You just kind of sit back and go, that's impressive, man. That's impressive. And they become a much better player because they've been teaching and coaching since they got here.
Mm-hmm. So so with you doing these BP sides and things like that, are you still putting emphasis on your position work before we start BP? Are you, I'm sure you're getting into team defense, but are you still having, or did that kind of alleviate the position work time since you're now building it into BP?
Great question. What we do now is we also, again, fortunate and blessed because it's college, right? Each day I have 45 minutes of early work. So in that 45 minutes of early work, and again, it's always skill specific. Could be first baseman again, right? Middle guys, corners, catchers, or outfielders. So that rotates in with what I'm rotating in on the BP side. So if I'm working with the outfielders today and we're working gap routes in the outfield, then when those guys are doing BP sides, they're not going to rotate to me. Again, I'm going to have another group. So basically what it's allowed me to do is get 2 specific groups each day on specific skill practicing with their position coach. Now in a week, NCAA allows us 6 practices a week, right? 1 day off for games. I can get everyone in twice through the week. It's fantastic.
Either through early work or BP sides.
Yes. And then when they go to the early work or BP sides, now when they're going out during the live BP round, they can just perform. Mm-hmm. So now I can flat out just perform. So I'm getting in my teamwork and I'm getting in my individual work all throughout that. And again, it is because of the scheduling. Now, again, you got to be careful. We'll have all of our kids' schedules. So I know that wait a minute, man, Tuesday, I can't do early work with outfielders because 50% of our guys have got a chemistry lab at 1:00. Okay. Mm-hmm. Can't do that. So we'll rotate it in to where those guys are never there on that Tuesday cycle.
And you said if you bring a guy in for early work, you're not pulling them for BP sides.
That is correct. Okay. That's correct. So if the outfielders are doing early work today, my BP sides are going to be with first baseman, third baseman, or middle infield guys or catchers. Mm-hmm. That is correct. And now we got a couple dual guys too. So if I got a dual guy, if you got the hybrid as we call them, right? Mm-hmm. So that hybrid guy gets a lot of BP work. He gets a lot of pre-work.
Oh yeah.
Right. So our middle guys are going to be a lot on top of that. Try to make I can't think. Maybe there's 1 or 2 guys here. I'm top of my head. Coach Salenza. Okay. Never worked Coach Salenza out in the middle infield. Did work at the corner and third. But try to get all of our guys to where they not only got we'll do primary day in BP, we'll do secondary day in BP, and then we'll do tertiary day. So whatever day it is, that's the position you're working on. So again, as all, we talk about all the time, you don't be a coach and get in a situation, somebody gets hurt, something happens in a game, and we say, okay, well, let's put Michael out there at third. And then I look at myself in the mirror and go, I've never had Michael at third base. That's Coach Siers' fault. That's my fault not being proactive enough in the multiple practice sessions, pre-work, post-practice work, BP sides, that I didn't give him a chance to be over there. So whatever happens isn't his fault. That's on me. That's how I take it. Mm-hmm. We're very fortunate to have the time, the facilities. And then again, to me, man, it's all about just making sure you keep, however you do it, spreadsheet, whatever you do. I do my own spreadsheet. So I know, hey, last Tuesday we had the outfielders. This is what we worked on with the outfielders. And then when I come back to that, I know exactly what we're going to do again. And sharing that with the kids. Yeah. Sharing that with them. Hey, remember this? We worked on this on Wednesday. We did this. Now we're going to add this on. So I think just being open, vulnerable again to your student athletes, and definitely, as we all do, telling them why we're doing it. You
Oh,
know,
for sure. I mean, I
why we're doing it
can't
and
tell you
how
how
it's
many.
going to help them.
I think that shows a strong coach too. A strong, so some a lot of coaches will get defensive on when a kid asks why, or if they
I
don't,
love it.
if the coach even doesn't know. I think strong coaches know why, and strong coaches aren't afraid to tell them why. A
Yeah.
lot of times if you start with the purpose, you should be already thinking the purpose anyways. That's why we're doing the drill.
How old are your kids?
9.
Nine.
My twins are 9. Yeah.
All right. Now are these okay? So you're still semi-hero at 9.
Yeah. So my hero. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I missed mine are out. Okay, I've got a lot better now. They got to come. But I tell our student athletes all the time when they come in, I say, man, I loved it when my son and daughter were in that 1 to 2 area, and they would always ask me why.
hmm
Because in my head, they wanted to know, they wanted to learn. I said, so that's what I want with you guys. You ask me why. It's not a negative. I don't take it as, oh my Lord, he's questioning it. No.
Right.
And again, if I haven't answered why, again, that's back on me. If I haven't
hmm
explained why, that's on me, because I don't want us to be doing something just go, oh, here's a time throw, that's great, and then we get out there in the actual game and go, wait a minute, coach, we didn't actually do. Wait, why are we doing this? So yeah, I love the whys, man. I love them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree, and I think it just goes to show, and just your humbleness, and I think it just goes to show your leadership. And again, I think bringing in the commitment versus compliance, and I love how you said that, and how you're going to get more of a committed guy when they know that, and then things like that, and that's the kind of guys you continue to develop. So it's awesome. It's awesome, but I think that's a pretty powerful place to stop too, man. Like I don't know how like that's knowing your why and loving the whys. I think that's man. Like I'm gonna that's at the top of the list right there, man.
And again, go back to my 23-year-old guy again.
Yeah.
um, I, I knew the why, but it's really kind of manifested itself even more so now. And I think also as a coach to be able to share that with your student athletes.
Yeah.
Here's my why I'm doing this for you. Here's why I love you and care about you.
Yeah.
Here's why I'm holding you accountable. Here's why we have these core values. I don't want you coming back to me in 5, 10, 15 years and say, my coach, you let me get away with that. Let me cheat on that. You never said anything about me there. I didn't feel like you loved me. I didn't feel like you cared for me. That would hurt me more than saying, man, I wish you'd have spent more time with me on my power base at the plate, because I really think that would have helped me spray the backside of the field a little bit better.
Right.
Yeah, so it kind of all comes full circle there, man. Absolutely,
For
buddy.
sure. Nah, for sure. That was fantastic. So, Coach, let me ask you something. Like, so would you mind if you would put your email out if anybody else wanted to ask you about like
Oh,
your side
absolutely,
stuff,
buddy.
different
Sure.
things, how
I'll
you're
give you
doing
my
stuff?
email and my Twitter
Email?
handle.
Okay.
Yeah. Email is rrsiyers
Mm-hmm.
at salisbury.edu. We got to have a little go goals love in there.
Go goals, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my Twitter handle is at rrsiyers.
Okay.
And I'm a pretty I'm a very consistent tweeter
Yeah, you're a pretty active tweeter.
and retweeter. I do ours and also do our Salisbury baseball Twitter account as well. So I'm kind of the dual thing on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anybody wants to reach out to me, man, love helping people. Love adding value to people personally and professionally. And that's been a joy in 32 years of coaching and teaching, is being able to do that. And I think by keeping that in the kind of the forefront there of somebody's why,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you a very grateful appreciation for every day you wake up and get to think, man, I get to go out and make an impact on young men. That's been powerful for me for my 32 years.
Yeah, and you certainly have made an impact on me. So, I mean, I
Well,
really
I
appreciate
appreciate
all
that.
your efforts.
I appreciate that, brother, very, very
Yeah.
much.
You know. So again, Coach, can't thank you enough for all this time, and I love it, and I'm glad we were able to finally actually record a conversation what we've had, because we've had many of them. I'm like, we might as well just record it. So,
Amen.
this is
Amen.
fantastic, and I just love talking to you. And I'm sure going to talk more about some side stuff, some early work. I'm going to pick your brain about that even
Sure.
more probably.
Absolutely. Be glad to send you all of our stuff, everything that we do. Love it. And our fall practices are always open. Any coach and stuff want to come out,
Absolutely.
which has been really kind of cool too, to kind of have that. It's kind of nice on top of that to have them come out. And I will, if you do come out or any other coaches want to come out to our practice, man, we'll have the schedule for you. the practice schedule for you, all of our BP side stuff, run off for you, and you're more than welcome to keep it, use it to help you in your program.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. I've taken that approach more because sometimes the ABCA and going to conventions are tough, and but being able just to go watch someone else's practice is huge. I remember, this spring I had the opportunity. I just went to go see Mike Franklin at Catoctin. And I just I got to go watch this
Awesome.
guy teach. I got to go watch it. And
Oh,
it was incredible. I mean, it was just incredible, like the teacher that he is. And I'm like, if I could, when I get a chance to go places, I need to go.
oh man, one of the things, I started a couple years ago, tried to go to again, blessing of college here, try to pick somebody in the fall. I went to University of Kentucky, Coach Mingione welcomed me in, let me come in there for 3. It was unbelievable. Put me on the field. I'm sitting there going, you gotta be kidding me. On the field, that's one thing I love about the baseball and the ABC and the coach association. Maybe their coach association are just like us. I don't know, but it just seems like people are so willing to share.
For sure.
And as opposed to say, no, this is mine, you can't have it. And no, man, hey, what do you have for me? And all right, coach, we do this. Yeah. So I try to do that too. And that's awesome with the outsiding, but man, love to have you come down. One thing I ask you, if you come down, we'll get you to talk to the guys.
Yeah.
As always, get our alumni to come back and talk to them and love them up, man. But that'd be fantastic. I appreciate you having me on too, buddy. I appreciate it very much. Love you. Wish you the best of luck. Love the podcast here. I really kicked my podcast listening up to the roof here during COVID.
Yeah.
I used to be an okay podcast guy, more of a reader, but now I'm finding even when I'm working out or I'm running, I'm like, I'm all podcasting.
Yeah.
I love
great.
it. I listened to Coach Femi the other day and love him with all my heart.
Femi's the man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, I absolutely love him.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, buddy, very much.
I appreciate you, Coach. Love you, man, and I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. You talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us and sticking with us the entire time on the Better Men, Better Ball Player podcast. Hope you found some great information from Coach Ron Siers on leadership, on practice, especially defensive practice, and how we can do some better defensive, especially individual defensive work that we typically don't get to see a lot of, as well as just the importance of learning, continuous learning, and knowing the reason why we're doing it, and not being and always thinking of ourselves and what we're not doing rather than blaming others and saying it's about the kid's fault. He puts so much ownership of himself before, he points the blame. So, I just love that. I love his ownership, love his leadership when it comes down to what haven't I taught the kids so they're not being successful? What haven't I done to allow them not to be successful there? He's always looking at himself first. True mark of a leader. And honestly, one of the most respectful things that kids would want to see, and that's why kids want to play for him. So, again, if you want to reach out to Coach Siers, his email is rrsiers@salisbury.edu. rrsiers, SIERS, @salisbury.edu. Or you can find him on Twitter @rrsiers. Twitter is @rrsiers. Thank you so much for being here with us from the Better Men, Better Ball Player podcast. If you have anything that you like it, please share. Give us a rating on iTunes as we keep on trying to get better ourselves. So, I can't thank you enough, and I want to hopefully see you guys all next week, where we continue to try and get better and find a person who is not only helping kids become better ball players, but also helping them become better men. Thank you for joining us. Keep getting better.